Welcome in everybody to Jerry Ross Park here in Crown Point, Indiana. We're at the Cal Ripken World Series, and I am here with some of the unsung heroes of the game of baseball and softball, and however you want to look at it. I'm here with the Brew Crew. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Mario Aguano. I own and operate the Blue Crew.
And I'm Frank Revore. I help Mario with development, recruitment, and working games.
So we're here with the Blue Crew today, and what the organization is, I'm going to let Mario talk a little bit more about the organization, but what they're trying to do basically is just getting more umpires out here for events like this Cal Ripken World Series that we've been experiencing here in Crown Point this week, which has been amazing. And I will say, gentlemen, it's been fun watching you guys do your thing up from the press box. So Mario, I'll let you talk a little bit about what the Blue Crew is and what the goal is.
Okay, the Blue Crew is finding umpires for youth organizations. There's a lot of youth organizations that don't have umpires. Some of the towns cannot find enough umpires, can't find good umpires. And what my job is to supply those organizations with umpires. When they need one, they can call me and I can send one guy, I can send two guys, whatever they need. Sometimes I get all the league responsibility to get the umpires, but we let them dictate how they want to get us, you know.
Okay, what is that contact information that they can get from you to be able to start getting a hold of you? And then I'll let Frank talk about kind of how the process works to learning how to be an umpire.
So you can reach me by phone at 219-765-9595, or my email address is thebluecrew21@gmail.com.
Perfect. And Frank, as they get signed up and Mario kind of gets their names and information and everything, what's the process like from there? Do they start, do they just get a handbook and have to read it and go from there? Or is there some field experience that goes with this?
Well, what we try to do, and just let me add on to the communication.
Sure.
There's also a Facebook. One way, maybe the best way for somebody, an aspiring umpire or somebody that's walked away from the game and coming back, would be to go to NWI Umpire on Facebook. We have about a 300 member group there. So let me give you an example of with Mario's vast network of people, probably hundreds of umpires, and with the generosity of these local towns, Crown Point, St. John, Lowell, they've basically said, anytime you want to develop umpires because of this national shortage, use our facilities. So Crown Point has been wonderful the last few years. So what we'll do to answer that is we'll bring them in. Mario, for example, will receive a name. We'll talk to the individual, and we'll either do an impromptu clinic with them here with this beautiful facility, or we may, if they live further south, we may use Lowell as the facility, or maybe over into St. John. So, but to answer your question, depending on their age. Now, some of these boys here, when they, if they're already a baseball player, a catcher or a pitcher, they may be a year ahead as far as development because they know the zone, they know the rules. So with them, Mario may start them on a game. I may say, hey, we have a candidate here who can do 10-year-old baseball now. He doesn't have to start with machine pitch, because 8-year-olds are machine pitch. And the other thing I'd like to add to that is some of our trainers and instructors here are pro school trained. They're in professional baseball, the minor league level. And we have college guys, we have high school. So we have a very diverse, very talented group of umpires that Mario has in his network. So.
For sure. And so, Mario, for when they contact you, at what age are you looking to kind of start? I mean, obviously there could be a lot of ages, but what age are you kind of looking at minimum to kind of get started with this? Maybe right out of high school and college or something like that?
I've started them as early as 14.
Okay.
Okay, some of the 14-year-olds that get started, they're probably usually a pitcher or a catcher because they're behind the plate all the time. And if any of them else want to, we'll work with them. You know, we'll put them with, say, myself or Frank. We'll go out on the bases, we'll give them the plate. We'll instruct them on what they're doing wrong or what they're doing right, and just trying to get them through there. And then move on to the base positioning when we get them when they feel comfortable doing the two-man system, we'll get them going on the two-man system. And we'll just keep working with them. And as long as they're willing to keep learning, we'll keep working with them. And when they feel ready to do it on their own, then we'll cut the ties with them and let them try it.
Okay, and where can they, if they do sign up and they do get out to some games, where could they expect to be maybe, you know, put at over the course of Northwest Indiana? Are we kind of venturing, you know, how far can they expect to maybe go if they're looking to join?
Well, of course, they're under 16, so they're not going to be driving. So they got to rely on mom and dad to get them to the fields. So we'll just say if they're living in Lowell and they need to get to the field, then I'll put them in Lowell. I'm not going to say, hey, you want to go to Munster or do you want to go to Portage, because they're not going to be able to get there unless mom and dad are home to get them there.
Right.
You know, so at that age, I try to keep them at the community that they're from.
Fair,
so if they're from
fair.
Lowell, they stay in Lowell. If they're from Crown Point, they stay in Crown Point. If they're wherever they're at, that's where they're going to stay.
Can I add one thing real quick? This is a sweet spot for new umpires, is fall ball, September, October, because Mario can place them in games in Crown Point, St. John, or Lowell, Cedar Lake, Lake and Porter County, right. And it's low pressure games. The umpires out here aren't assigned by Blue Crew,
okay,
but Blue Crew has a lot of umpires out here right now because I think they're the best in the country.
Fair. All right, and let's get down to the pivotal question here. For these umpires that are coming out here and doing a fine job like you guys have been doing all this week, you know, what might the paycheck at the end of it look like a little bit? What can they expect per game potentially?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, every community is different. So some communities don't have the funding that other communities do.
Okay.
So it'd be based on the community that they're representing. Okay, I'm not going to go what communities pay what, you know, because I don't want to put them down or anything, but it'll be comparable to where they're living at. You know, I can't. That's the way it has to go.
Gotcha. You know? I gotcha. All right. So when they get out there, obviously you're going to teach them also how to deal with maybe some of the patrons who also think they're umpires out there, and how to deal with those situations. From your guys' perspective, though, give me a fun story that you guys have had on the mound. Maybe, you know, I've watched some of you guys over the course of this week, you know, giving a fist bump to maybe a pitcher who's been struggling, or a player who made a really nice play defensively, or somebody who had a really nice hit. You know, I've seen some knuckles and pats on the back. Give me your favorite story, one of the favorite stories that you guys have had over the course of maybe this week, or just in your experience as umpires.
I'll tell you, there's a national crisis of conduct, right? And as umpires, when we're on the field, and one of the things we really emphasize with the newer umpires is the better you know the rules, right? Mm-hmm. The easier it's going to be to do that verbal judo with nonsense. So once you get to this level, and you have 4 umpires on a field, I mean, these are pretty easy to work games for us. We know the rules better than anybody else in the dugouts or in the stands. But to get to what you had mentioned about a funny story, probably the funniest one the saddest one I had was, you know, let me start with a sad one, is where a coach was yelling at his son, and a 10-year-old, that if he did something again, he was going home, and they pulled him right off the field and took him. And those are the kind of things, when we see that as umpires, that's what really concerns us about where are we going with youth sports. But umpiring is a big part of it. When something bad happens on the field, a lot of time that comes on us. Why did you let that happen? And, but yeah, humorous stories, they've been happening all week here. I mean, kids have been doing that, making great plays. Mm-hmm. We turn around, and I had one kid make a great play, the shortstop. Yesterday, he was a Rhode Island team, and he bent over and he started picking up dirt and rubbing it in, and he said to his buddy, "Hey, check out the color here," right after the play, the game-saving play. And so that's how detached they are from winning and losing. They're out there having fun. They're 10 years old. And, but Mario, you got to have a more humorous story than that.
Yeah, I mean, what inspires me most to come out here and do these are these kids. Mm-hmm. Okay, just for them to say, hey, we got Mario today, you know, it just makes me feel really good. You know, they all remember my name. I don't know, maybe it's the video game that has a lot to do with it, you know, but they always relate to me as the video game. Yeah, I'm small. Yeah, I got a mustache. Yeah, I'm fat. Yeah, I'm funny, and I got the name Mario, you know. But just being on there, and when they're down, I try to pick them up. When they're happy, you know, I'm happy with them. You know, some of the kids that were crying after the games here at this, I told them, I says, you guys got to turn that smile upside down and make a smile. I says, you know how many teams you guys beat to get here? You know how many frowns that were going on when you guys were winning? I said, that's part of the game. Yes, it's fun to win, but yeah, it's gotta be fun to lose sometimes too. I mean, especially at this level, you know, because it's all about having fun, you know.
Absolutely. Well,
I just thought of a real quick one that happened the other day on a game where somebody yelled out of the stands. It sounded like an older woman, and somebody had screamed, "Hey, you got to swing at that!" And the batter put his head down and said, "That's my grandma." So that's, again, that's the emotion from there. It really isn't. The kids aren't that rah-rah about it. So.
No, when I say that these guys are really the unsung heroes of the game of baseball, I mean the connections you guys make, the hassles you deal with on occasion, but the great things that you get to see out on the diamonds as well is, bar none, one of the things that I respect most about the game and your guys' level of competition as well, because it's competitive for you guys too, trying to get those best games and stuff like that, and be in a position and whatever the case may be. So truly thank you guys for all this, and then thank you for trying to bring in the next generation of those umpires as well. So if you want to get in contact with them, Mario gave you that information. We'll have it here on the Region Sports Network as well. You can check that out. So we'll see you here soon. We got plenty of action still coming your way from the Cal Ripken World Series here from Jerry Ross Park in Crown Point. You've been watching Game Day on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.